States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll.
Benjamin?
Here.
Baylor? Here. Holdman?
Here.
Chasdorf?
Here.
Meyer?
Here.
Tarks?
Here.
Mr. Sredina is excused. Oh,
Oh.
Tom is on Zoom.
He's on Zoom. Do you want to turn the volume up on that?
Yes.
At this time, is there anyone desiring to be heard other than the new business? And I will also take public comment during the new business for the fire department discussion. If anyone wants to speak at that time, they most certainly could. So no one desiring to be heard. Consent agenda.
I'll make his agenda.
I'll second that.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. New business, discussion and possible action on proposals received for the organizational structure assessment and future needs analysis for fire and emergency medical services. So a little background on this is a couple months ago, the village was approached by the fire department just to kind of talk about their needs and what they need going forward. And it kind of developed into equipment and staffing and what do we do. So if you recall, we had an initial meeting. We went over some of the background about the fire department and what they need personnel wise. And then we decided that it would be best to bring in or go out for proposal for a consultant to tell us what would be the best choice for us as a village to do. And that's why we are here today. So we got 9 consultants that applied or gave us their proposals. And the packet had all the proposals and we have gone through them. Ben and his front office staff has gone through them tremendously in great detail. And so what my plan is here tonight is I'm going to ask each trustee what your top choices are. And I think to expedite or narrow down the list, we will then kind of talk about the top ones. And then our consultants are also available, right? Some of them might be on the phone. So if we have questions, we most certainly could reach out to the consultants and ask them their questions or what we have questions about. And then I will also take public comment. I think it might be beneficial. I'll ask for public comment after we get done discussing it, just so people have a better idea of what we're talking about here today. So tonight's mission or goal is to just pick a consultant to help us move forward with what we want to do. Are there any questions from the board before I start? Any questions from the administration?
No, I just wanted to make a mention to the public that we did apply for and receive a $35,000 grant from the state through the Innovation Planning Grant opportunity. So that will help offset the cost of any type of consulting work that gets done for phase 1. So I'm very, very happy that the state had that opportunity out there and that we were able to receive those funds.
And we can use that effective immediately.
Correct. We have that money in our account.
Okay.
Thanks, Ben, for getting on that, you and your staff. I mean, because you got to that pretty quick after our meeting to search that out. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
And we are moving a little quick on this just because of the urgent need that was presented to us to find a solution. So we are kind of moving somewhat fast on this, but I do like the proposals we received. So we had 9 of them. And at this time, Trustee Tarks, would you be able to just tell me your top few that you preferred?
Okay. McCann, McGrath, and PPA.
Tom, are you able to hear us and chime in?
McMahon, Public Administration. Sorry, Tom, can you say those one more time? I have the volume up all the way, but it's not we can't hear you super well. McGrath for him is number 1. PAA for number 2. Three is McMahon. And then, I think, Tom, those were, did you say 2 for Public Administration Associates? Public Consulting, okay, and then PAA was number 4.
Okay, and I don't need 1, 2, 3, 4. I just give me your top ones. Would be fine. Trustee Meyer,
I'll go with McMahon Consultants as 1 and McGrath as number 2.
and I would go with McGrath in no particular order, McMahon, and Public Administration Associates. Trustee Holdman,
Yeah, the 3 that stood out to me were public administration and McGrath and McMahon.
Trustee Baylor,
McMahon, McGrath, and then public.
Trustee Benjamin,
Public administration, McGrath, and then McMahon, the last one.
McCann. Is it McMahon or
McMahon.
And or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
McMahon.
And administration, what did you review and decide?
I had a top 4. I had PAA, Public Consulting, McMahon, and McGrath in no particular order. And then my ultimate choice would be McMahon.
Okay, so it's pretty clear amongst the board that we have McGrath, McMahon, and Public Administration Associates stand out as the top choices. I think then at this time, if we focus our discussion on those 3, that could be beneficial. And Ben, since your front office did a lot of the research and everything, did you want to start with your opinions as to why, or did you want us to?
I can provide my opinions. The biggest reason why I went with McMahon over the rest is of the references that they provided, 7 out of the 10 were what we are doing now. They were either future needs analyses or organizational structure analysis. They are local as our PAA, but they're the current head person that would be heading up the project is the current fire chief for the North Shore Fire Department. They had really, really good references. They said that they would be using them again and again. They've been really good with follow-up. One of the fire chiefs that worked with them now is kind of like a mentoree of the person that headed up their project. So all around, I think that they're very well qualified. They were the second lowest bidder. And their project would be completely covered by the grant, which I think is something important to note when it comes to the financial impact. And again, they're just overall qualified. And to me, when you lay out everybody, they're all very qualified, very good candidates. But my preferences are just, it seems like they have the most relevant experience from what was presented to me in the packets.
And just to point out, the second lowest bidder, the lowest bidder, I guess didn't make our list of top choices. So at this point, McMahon would be the lowest of the
top,
proposals.
yes.
Of the ones. Okay. All right. And then I'll just go down the line again. And then if you want to add any comment as to your top choices, I would take that under consideration for the audience as well. Trustee Tarks.
McGrath, the only thing that I questioned on that was he was the fire, was the fire chief in Brookfield. It's good and it's bad in my eyes. They worked with several departments in Wisconsin, South Shore, North Shore consolidation. They worked with a lot of towns and villages. They go back for 3 years into the department's history to understand the past, present, and future of the department. Excuse me. McCann, they come in within the budget also. The employees have a background with the fire, EMS, and administration, also for consolidating the fire departments for several, both in Wisconsin and out of state. They've worked with small villages in Wisconsin, and I believe they're from Neenah, am I right?
That's
Or
where they're headquartered, yes.
headquarters are, so they can come in person. I like the fact of they seem to come in more in person than doing Zoom work. I think that was one of the big things there. PAA, they were located in Whitewater. They could also come in and visit. The only bad thing with them was they can't start the work until November. That is it.
Thank you. Trustee Sardina, did you have any comments? And Ben can relay them to the crowd because the volume.
No comments.
Thank you. Trustee Meyer?
Yep, I think the thing that stood out to me about the McMahon Consulting Group was one, it felt like their proposal had an inclusive collaboration and communication, and I thought that was important. The fact that they're local, they have they all had very good experience, but I think for them, the locality and it almost felt like their willingness to want to work with us and help us find the solution. That just stood out to me. The fact that they're, in Neenah, like Pat said, they, want to be a part of our group. So with those reasons, that's why I support that McMahon Consulting Group.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to kind of back up on those as well. McMahon, I liked because their price was pretty close to McGrath, very close. But I felt McMahon was a little more personalized in their proposal. And I did like that they were local, whereas McGrath was Tennessee. And then, but with McGrath, they could do it, it looked like in 2 months, and McMahon was 4 months. And then on PPA, I liked that they were local from Whitewater, but he could not start till November, or their company couldn't start till later, and then they needed several months for that, and then they were like $10,000 higher. So I noted that on all three of those. Small little detail on the McMahon proposal was that they actually used a picture of our fire department on the cover page. So that stood out at me. That's all I had. Trustee Holdman.
I had similar findings, although I didn't catch that McGrath was going to be, the Brookfield fire chief would be the person.
He was,
Oh, was,
he
okay,
was.
okay. I guess there'd be some potential
Which makes
for.
no difference. I mean, there's
Yeah.
pros and cons on that.
Sure, yeah. I thought McMahon had the most local work, which I liked. And a question I had that, when we have questions, but the phase one was the quote price, and then their phase two, which I'm assuming I could concise by saying implementation assistance, could be the way to describe how they say phase two. It says 4,000 to 7,000 per month for phase two. So just something to keep in mind if we would like to go with them. But
Correct.
we can cross those bridges when we come to them.
Correct. And one of I received several questions from bidders being like, well, we can't really accurately price what phase two would look like since we don't know what phase one's outcome is going to be. So I said, you don't have to give us a firm, number on that. As long as you just kind of give us a ballpark. And then as we move forward, we can kind of cement that down.
Yeah. And my only other one that was public administration, but their cost was so high, it puts them out of the running. So it doesn't matter. That's where I'm at.
Thank you. Trustee Baylor, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I can echo just about similarities with everybody here on the board, but my front runner was McMahon. To keep in trying to go local, we had talked about someone understanding our little village was a big thing to some of us up here. What stood out for McMahon for me was, it's the current North Shore fire chief. They have a retired fire chief from South Bend, which isn't close, but retired fire chief from West Bend. They have a De Pere, Green Bay retired fire chief on staff. which is all part of their project team for us, as well as City of Waukesha, the city administrator, retired City of Oshkosh city manager. They bring a lot of local. This project team, to me, I think understands Butler or knows of us, so it's not a stretch. They also acquired, another municipal safety administrator and consulting service of 20 years that's also in their group now, that back in 2020. So they have the people for doing what we need to do. Not only themselves, but they have also acquired big companies. So that stood out as my forefront, and that they wanted to do so many on sites and wanted to watch actually how it's working, not just listening to people, but actually watching it day to day. I think we're going to get more personal service out of them because they are close versus a lot of places have travel time and they only come a couple times. They're quick to start, and the price is in our budget. That's all I have.
And just one thing on that too is that, yeah, their background, McMahon they do the villages and then they also do cities. So in
Yep.
Germantown, Summers, McGonigal, those are all very close to us.
Yeah. So it was, I think it's really what we were looking for and what a lot of the trustees and
Like a group of people that kind of knew us, that you can
Yeah,
call
they're all
people up
from
and say,
around
come
us.
in, yeah, get that support.
so that's what stood out for me to make him my front runner.
Okay. And trustee Benjamin, any comments?
I kind of like the PPA to myself, but because of the price, it's out of line. Basically, it filled more of my needs of looking at the village and what we saw here. Going along with what Eric is saying here, McMahon was definitely a lead after that. Because of the price, PPA is definitely out. But I really like them to start with because they've done so much in the state of Wisconsin. They're really familiar with a lot of it. So along with that, I'm gonna have to agree with just about everybody else. Like I said, I like PPA, but price is just out of line.
All right, at this time, would any of the consultants like to speak? And then if you're on Zoom, we'll have to translate to the board because we can't hear you.
Yes, Ben, if you hold your microphone there.
Well, we can't hear them on the. Maybe that'll work. Okay,
Or maybe that.
we have one in the audience.
Right. I'm with McMahon.
Oh, come on up.
Welcome.
All right. If
So,
you could just state your name and then again, you said you were.
Yeah, I'm Robert Whitaker, so I'm with McMahon and Associates.
Chief.
We are, I think, well positioned, as I think I've heard you discussing. We have all but one of the consultants on this project team has a significant Wisconsin work history. Many of us have worked in or currently are working in departments that have been combined or some sort of combination of some sort or contractual service throughout our careers. And then the gentleman from Indiana that's on the team is on a larger multi-community department, so has and also significant history. All of us probably 30 plus years doing fire service, and then the public management side of the consulting team has significant background doing public management. So part of our role, and I think our responsibility in doing a sufficient study, is to not only have the fire service side of the consulting team look at and come up with recommendations, but run those by the public management side of the team. I think that's something that's giving you as the customer the best look at what there is, because you probably all have done or are currently in different careers. You know your career very well, but there's always a good second set of eyes that's looking at it from just a little bit of a different perspective from the public management side of the perspective also. So that's something that we have concentrated on as a team. We primarily put at least one public management person on all our teams to have that second set of eyes. And then we go back and forth and look at recommendations and say, is this feasible financially? What do you think? How is it going to look at from maybe your perspective? And how will that all look when it comes back to a board and has to get voted on? So we're excited to work with you if that proceeds forward, and I'd be more than happy to take any questions.
So just to, well, like when you did Germantown, because that's fairly close to us.
Yep.
Was that the same thing that we're kind of doing here?
Yeah, that was a combination project. They had a chief vacancy at the time, so we were brought on to do interim management, but also at the same time, they took that opportunity to do a needs analysis study for the department and look at what their needs were as an organization. So when they moved forward and ultimately filled their chief's position, they had somewhat of a game plan moving forward. Their community, you're all familiar with it, it's growing. It's in transition. You have anything from rural to pretty suburban and industrial now, and they have a significant industrial presence there. So they wanted to look at what that looked like. They had ultimately, I think, tried a referendum and then ultimately came back and had to do a second time around. But it's a community that's growing and had a lot going on at the time.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
See if anyone on Zoom anyone online want to comment? And then I'll go out to the public. So are there any consultants on the Zoom that want to speak? None. Okay. At this time, I will open it up to the public. If anyone is desiring to be heard or has questions, I'd be willing to entertain those at this time. If you wanted to come up to the podium, that'd be fine. Mhm. No one? Okay. All right. So no public comment. Does the board have a preference as to who to go with? And what,
Make a motion to go with McMahon as our first choice.
Second.
Mr. President, I just wanted to cut in really quick. I would like to, if we're going to be making a motion to approve, I would like to say if you want it just phase 1, phase 2, or both. I just wanted to make that distinction with this because if, again, if we're a little bit, iffy on the phase 2 pricing and we don't want to necessarily award that right away, we don't have to. But I'll leave that up to you. Just putting it out there. If you wanted to just go with them the full way, great.
yeah, my intent would be to use the consultant for the same phase, for phase 1 and 2.
Okay.
That makes sense to me because it's all their work.
Okay, I just wanted to
So-
make that point.
That's fine. And then the way the motion is written, I had taken that to be the whole project.
Okay, I just wanted to make it clear for the record.
That's fair.
You want me to reword it? Or you
I don't, if you want to amend it and clarify.
clarify my motion to include phase 1 and phase 2?
Second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to bring on McMahon as the consultant. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay.
Tom was an aye, just for the record.
Tom was a what?
Tom was an aye for the record.
Thank you. Motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. We're adjourned at 6:25.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Now I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah. I'm not doing-
Anybody?
I've got a round file.
You soak it in some kerosene.
Right?